and welcome to today's Money Chat Now interview. In this portion of the show, I take the opportunity to interview interesting people and introduce you to their products, services, or just their good intentions. If you would like to be a guest on my show, you can go to the LarrySteinhouseShow.com/guest and let me know that you want to be interviewed. Hey, today's special guest actually is an interesting guy. He's a guy that I've known for about 30 years, believe it or not. Actually, 30 years ago, he sold me my first Cadillac. You know, when Cadillacs were the GOAT. He's a 30-year-plus veteran of the auto industry, having been he's an award-winning Cadillac salesperson, general manager, and a dealer principal. He started a business called Career Changers USA in 2012, and in this successful industry-specific recruiting company, he recruits, interviews, and conducts employee training for auto dealerships across the United States and Canada. He is also a keynote speaker, an avid rock and roller, and he's a reader of American history and a die-hard Philadelphia sports fan. I'd like to introduce my guest today and my personal friend, Larry Feldman. Hey, Larry, welcome to the show, man.
Why, thank you so kindly, Larry.
I'm so excited you're here. It's kind of interesting.
It is. It's really good when you reunite with old friends and find out your interests are still on the same track.
So what's really cool, you're like, you're like one of my big fans. I see you watching my show all the time.
That's true.
So, since I get to take an opportunity to boost my ego, what do you think of my show?
I like your show.
All right.
I like, in this troubled time, I like anybody that stands up and expresses their opinion.
Awesome.
By the way, I saw a guy outside named Brandon. He wanted to know exactly where it is you wanted him to go.
Yeah. That's very funny. I did a whole show. On Let's Go Brandon one day. I had to say it 22 times. Isn't that pretty awesome?
It's frightening. For anyone that doesn't know, Larry is a dyed-in-the-wool, intelligent conservative. I'm in the same camp, and what frightens me is not what somebody says, but that somebody wants to stop you from saying what you want to say.
Absolutely.
Thereby negating what made this country so great.
Yeah.
So Larry and I are on the same page. One small correction, not that I want to correct somebody wearing a wizard's coat, but I'm actually doing motivational training for everybody. I mean, you had me up to talk to your
That's
folks
right.
from
You
Investor
did
School.
talk to us, right? Sure, absolutely.
I'm working with, I think, the most prestigious and best furniture company in New Jersey,
Really?
Mrs. G Appliances.
I remember Mrs. G, sure. All right, so,
Awesome.
but I want to roll back for a minute. Okay,
Sure.
So you start out, you're a car salesman, you sell me my first Cadillac, and that was kind of cool.
It was cool.
But you were a car salesman, and I remembered reading the awards. I remember at the time I was reading the awards, so you became an award-winning Cadillac salesperson. How does one become an award-winning Cadillac salesperson? How many cars do you have to sell doing that?
Well, I averaged over 30 cars a month.
Really? That's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal, but it really, I don't want to oversell the achievement. When I go around the country and people say, what does it really take to be successful? I say, well, you have to start with wanting to be successful. And they look at me like I'm insane.
Exactly.
But
yes.
So some people want to get wealthy by hitting the lottery. They're waiting for a money tree or one of those emails you get where, like, I'm from China, here's $14 million, just give me your account number.
The Prince email, sure.
Right. But the real deal is you've got to get up in the morning and say, this is what I want to do. Because everything has a price, and everything in life is a trade-off. A yin and a yang.
Absolutely true. So it's one of those things where you're talking to people and you're saying, hey, listen, you need to be always motivated in order to do what you're doing. Now, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I'm up at 4:30 every morning. I'm actually up at 4 o'clock every morning to get ready to do my show. I'm here in the morning, and I do the show at 7:30, and I'm here from 4:30 to 7:30 writing it, producing it, working with the producer, Mike. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
And the key to that, the key to being successful at anything is driving here and being excited.
Yes.
I can't wait who I'm going to talk to, what I'm going to think of.
Yeah.
Thoreau said most men, and by proxy most women, lead lives of quiet desperation. If they're not happy with their family, their work, change it. Change it. You only live once.
It's absolutely true.
And when you realize that it's your life, and religious people say, well, there's life after death. Well, but the Bible says God helps those that help themselves. You know, whatever thy hand shall find, do it with all thy might. So it's really just a matter, this is going to sound really crazy because my whole life my nickname has been Crazy Larry.
That's funny because everybody calls me that.
That's shocking. But I'm very practical in the sense that I realize one day I'm not going to be here. That's why I'm trying to have as much fun, make as many friends.
Right. And you won't even know you're not here assuming, even if you do know you're not here, it doesn't really matter because life will be very different. If there's an afterlife, it's going to be very different than it is now. So you might as well enjoy every minute you can now. And I agree with that philosophy completely. So, all right. So how do you motivate yourself every morning? What do you do when you wake up in the morning?
Well, because I'm trying to grasp as much of life as I can, I try to keep really busy. My kryptonite is boredom. You can't make me too busy. I advertise for service and sales personnel, not only all over the country, everywhere from Canada to Florida to New York. I'm in Canada now, and I've got 300 ads running, which I think would make anybody else jump out of the window. I love it. I'm trying to get up to 400 or 500 or 600.
All right, so let me talk about career changes because it's an interesting the whole concept is interesting. So you're specifically in the auto industry. You have a auto dealer that needs a salesperson, which I would think would be easy to find. Why is it not easy to find?
Have you been paying attention, Crazy Larry?
Well, I understand that. But
nobody wants to work.
Right, but you opened this in 2012 before the Great Resignation of a year ago, where everybody just quit. So in 2012, were you still as busy?
Very busy.
Okay.
2012 was one of your favorite political leaders, Barack Obama, was still running the show.
Right.
Those of you that don't know, I gave Larry Michelle Obama's biography for Christmas. I haven't gotten a thank you note yet, Larry, and I'm not quite sure why. What I do is, it started off with training and finding salespeople, training them, and then the owner GM deciding who they wanted to hire. Mm-hmm. And I got thank God, really successful with that.
Okay.
And I had a dealer say to me, Larry, this is a guy in Florida, we have 20 salespeople, 15 you hired, and the top 10 are all your guys.
That's fantastic.
Well, listen, it gets better.
Yeah.
Got a little lucky, serendipity, putting yourself in a place where you can succeed. By the way, everybody quotes it to somebody else. It was Ben Franklin who said, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So he said to me, can you do anything with service? So I did what many great salespeople have done. I made some stuff up. Oh, of course I can. It's no problem. I had no idea if I could or I couldn't. What I did is I did a little research and found out what headhunters charge to find service people. I'm not knocking headhunters. They're good guys and good ladies too. But the dynamic of the world has changed. If you charge a guy thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for a service guy and he stays 30 years, it was a minimal cost.
Oh, sure.
But people don't stay. They're not loyal to where they are and where they're working. So I lowered my price to a reasonable number. And the guy said, boy, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, so most people would charge 20% of the guy's salary.
Right.
And from what I understand, your fee is a lot lower than that.
A lot lower than that.
Which is fantastic.
Well, you know what it is? There was an old joke, like, I lose money, but I make it up in volume. If I have enough business, if I get to the point where I'm running with everybody everywhere and they're happy and they share the knowledge with dealers that they're not directly competing with, all of a sudden you wake up and you're rolling. As Larry knows, you may not know, I went to Canada.
You just recently went to Canada, so tell us about that trip.
I met a guy on a podcast similar to this, and he was involved with top-notch people. He was involved early on with promoting Grant Cardone, Damien Boudreau, George Dance, all well-known people in the industry. Obviously, Cardone's well-known everywhere.
Sure, right, of course.
And he said, "Man, you got something."
What do you got?
I got energy. I got a true attitude of gratitude.
So show me your energy.
Well, I don't want to blow up the green screen. It would make for ugly.
Shh, don't tell anybody it's a green screen. Everybody thinks it's a real set.
A real set?
Yeah.
No, that's Biden with the little makeup set. Oh, I'm sorry. Got your bone again.
What do you think this is, right? You think this is the fake White House?
I'll give you an example. When I get into training, I talk about philosophy. Now, it's crazy because guys that go to car training figure they're going to know about a transmission.
Sure.
But my concept is you have to understand what your purpose is, what's moving you, because once you forget your purpose, you're done. Everybody on earth, old people know how to use navigation, but if you don't put in the coordinates, you don't get there. One of the analogies I use all the time, Larry, is if you have a dog and you point, your dog never looks where you're pointing, he looks at your finger.
Sure.
That's how most people lead their lives. They don't know where they're going, so how can they reasonably expect to get there? So what I try to do, again, I try to make them as confused as possible. I throw a Socrates quote on them: an unexamined life is one not worth living. I make them look in the mirror and stop blaming the governor, the mayor, the president, their mother, their manager, And the beauty of this is,
Teach the same thing. I know exactly
yeah,
what you mean.
we can control our own lives. And I never understood people that let themselves become embittered because it was so much fun to blame everybody else. My father, rest his soul, had a great expression: God bless those that wish me well, and all the rest can go to hell. You're on my side, or I accidentally ran you over. It's not a problem.
Fair enough. So what is the most intelligent thing you've taught somebody about being a car salesperson?
To understand that everybody's a buyer and everyone's an opportunity.
So when you say everybody's a buyer, what if there's not people who just come in and kick tires?
Sure, but they're not coming in to kick tires just to kick the tires. They're starting the buying process. What you need to do, you need to embrace, to truly understand what I am, you have to understand that I teach schizophrenia. I want people to strive to be the smartest person in every room and the craziest. Because if you're a little nuts, people will buy from you. Everybody that's listening to this...
That must be why I'm so successful.
We're going to get to that.
Because I'm more than a little nuts.
I can't shill my own property and solve your psychoanalytic problems, just one at a time. So all I'm really trying to do is make them embrace the fact that you need to be patient, but you need to be aggressive at the same time. I have a book. It's called Inner Moron Demons.
Yeah, we can talk about that book. So why don't we talk about
no,
your book?
it's going to dovetail into what you just asked me.
Okay, sure.
Inner Moron Demons, How to Avoid Them and How to Live Your Best Life.
Okay.
During the pandemic, instead of staring out the window or moaning and groaning, I wrote a book. And thank God it's got traction. It's all over the country. And in it, I tell a story that's gospel truth, and any car salesperson, and I bet anybody selling anything can relate. A guy came in a really old car, and it was 4 doors. Every door was a different color. The tailpipe was dragging. And the idiots I work with, all wearing fancy suits, I think I was the only guy without a Rolex, all said, look at that piece of crap. He's never buying a car. So I said, well, you know better than I do. I just started. By the way, I got to hit the bathroom. I snuck around the back of the building, went into service, shook hands with the guy, talked to him a little bit. When he found out his car bill was going to be $5,000 or $6,000, he said, man, my car's 11 years old. I don't want to do that. Can you help me get a new car? What's complicated about that?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I would have went up to him and said, what a cool car.
Surprising as it may be, you and I have a similar approach.
Absolutely, sure.
Psychology tells us that the thing that we hate the most in other people is what we recognize in ourselves.
I hate you.
Okay, I can accept that. The Grand Wizard just told me he didn't like me. Okay, so long story short, all I want them to understand is if these people are here, they're an opportunity. Most car salespeople have this disease, which is they predetermine you're not a buyer.
Yep.
If you're in a newer car, he's probably wasting time. Well, maybe he needs another car. If it's an old car, too old, if you come in and you look young, the questions they ask are crazy. So all I try to do is make them understand. I always ask them, you got a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, sisters? Yeah. Okay, well, you know how to get along with them. And everybody that has a family knows how difficult family life can be. Yeah. Everybody's got the same drunk uncle that wants to start a fight in front of the TV on Thanksgiving.
I just bought a new car this weekend. And I bought a new car this weekend. I have 5 cars. So if one of your crappy salesmen would have came up to me and said, do you need a new car? I'm like, no.
Well, they're not my crappy salespeopeople. You mean the ones that we're talking
not
about
trained by you, exactly.
There we go. There we go.
I meant it as the example of...
And by the way, as repeating myself, I apologize, as your fine crew can testify, I'm everywhere. The motivation comes because I'm not really teaching you strictly about the transaxle or the motor. I'm teaching you how to set your life up.
Right.
Okay?
All right. So what's the one piece of advice you would give a salesperson right away, off the bat, that they should do in the very beginning of a conversation with somebody?
Okay. What do you have in your right hand?
In my right hand right now, I have a pen.
Thank you. So what I would do is I would tell them to buy a pen, because a lot of young people do not have a pen, and learn to smile.
Okay.
Because if you don't make that first impression, if you're not happy, nobody wants to see this. Can I help you? Not really.
It's true.
I like to teach them to smile. Now, as far as the pen thing, this is not a complaint. This is mild amusement, and occasionally it makes my head explode. I'm very old school. I run my whole business off a computer and off my phone, so it's not like I'm a dinosaur.
Right.
But I believe in writing things down. Now, follow my logic. I get zillions of emails. Occasionally I have something urgent and somebody says, Larry, you never got back to me, because it gets buried in all the emails.
Yeah.
I write things down the night before of what I'm going to do, and when people call me, here, I'm sitting here with a 3x5 card and a pen. I get people that call me every day. When I walked into your studio today, I was on the phone with somebody.
That's right, absolutely.
And
yes.
what I do is I give people my personal email if they want to send me a resume. I have no problem with that. But nobody has a pen. They're calling for a job. Half of them don't know what job it is because, again, instead they just one after the other, and they don't expect anybody to answer. By the way, the third thing might be answer your phone. Because
that's a big one.
70% of the people that I answer the phone on, there's a big pause or they hang up because they've trained themselves in this crazy world to not answer the phone. So what would I teach you if you walked in? Smile. Write things down. You don't have to worry about your email being compromised. You don't have to worry about forgetting it. It makes it realer and easier to understand. Very difficult with young people because they've been programmed not to write,
All right,
which may be why the attention span's so
Somebody
short.
walks into a store, any store, any retail store, a car dealership, right? I walk in, what's your approach? What's the approach that you would say? I walk in, what do you say to me?
What kind of store are we in?
It doesn't matter. Car store, retail store, it doesn't really matter. I make eye contact with you and I want to run because I'm like, oh no, I made eye contact with a car salesman. Ew.
I would smile and I'd say, maybe you do a fist bump. Still, some people are still handshake frenzied. Welcome to Steinhouse Motors.
Okay.
I'm Larry Feldman.
I'm just looking.
No problem. That's great. That actually makes my job easier. I'd like to get you some information to make your life easier. Can I ask you what you're looking for just so I can point you in the right direction?
I don't know. I was traveling down the road and I saw this car dealership and I came in just to say hi.
Well, boy, do we appreciate that. We'd be in trouble without nice people like you coming in. I'm Larry Feldman. Here's my card. Can I ask your name?
I'm Larry.
Larry. Is it okay if I write that down? I'm terrible with names and I don't want to forget yours.
Yeah, but I'm just looking.
No problem.
Let me go do
I
my
just
thing.
don't like to be, I don't like to be rude and not call people by their names. No problem, sir, madam. Whatever it is. The deal is, if anybody in this broadcast thinks they're a good driver and everybody thinks they are, you know that you steer into the skid or else you lose control.
Yeah, sure.
So the more negatives they give you, the more positive you make it. I've had...
That's great.
I can't tell you how many people I've had say, I'm not buying for a year. No problem. Let's have fun. An hour later, they're signing papers.
It's funny. I know that's true, but it's funny when somebody says that to me. I'm not buying for a year. I'm like, that's all right. I'll still be in business a year from now. I'm looking forward to your business then. Anyway, how are you today? So I know
it's
exactly
all.
what you're talking about.
Listen. Think about. Let's jump back to the psychology of this. Okay. People hate car dealerships. They hate car. We're on the bottom of the trust list with drug dealers and politicians. To me, that's an opportunity. Because nothing in life is stronger than when a negative is overcome by a positive. I explain it this way in my class. Everybody occasionally goes to the movies. I go to the movies a lot. And you want to see a movie and it's sold out. And you're with somebody and you say, well, we're already here. Let's go see something else. And you mention a movie because the time's right. And they go, that got horrible reviews.
Sure.
And you go and you come out and you go, what damn movie were they watching? It was fabulous. And you'll tell a lot of buddies. Yeah. Word of mouth is the best. Now, you can do it through social media. Boy, I just went somewhere, they were great. You mentioned that you wanted to have me on. We've been friends forever. I told a few people. I've had about 30 people reach out and say, when can I see this damn thing?
That's great. Okay, so real quick. So, I know, let me talk. What is so you talked a little bit about your approach with sales for training is different than anything else out there.
Correct.
Right? So that's pretty awesome, right? So, I don't know, let me see, like, when you came to us and you did one of our did a presentation for us,
yes, sir,
you went off the rails, and it was hysterical. I still have people talking about how funny it was, how great it was. Why do you do that? Why do you go make? I mean, you spent a whole hour, and I don't think you taught anybody anything. That's not really true, but to a point, you didn't. You had so much fun with the audience.
Were they motivated and energetic when they left?
They absolutely were, and they all remembered it.
Well, then I taught them something.
I agree.
Here's what I did. Okay, you know how it's like, sometimes you see a movie about the making of a movie? Mm-hmm. What I do, rather than say, here's these 10 rigid rules and here's these phrases, memorize them, I teach people to think. And one of the things I want them to think about is, if you can sit through training and enjoy it and laugh, you're going to get people's attention.
Sure.
If I came up there and I was brilliant and boring, they don't, Or if it's all jokes and there's no substance.
Right.
But I dug in with some points that I knew would stick.
Yeah, you had a lot of good stuff that was important too. Sure, absolutely.
So you retract your statement that I didn't teach them anything.
Well, I want this.
Maybe we can have you be the press secretary when Saki steps down.
Something like that.
Listen, here you asked me why I do it. Let me tell you why I do it. I take life very seriously. I laugh all the time. All my friends know I'm a little crazy. But If you put me in front of people, whether I'm paid, unpaid, paid a lot, whatever it is, I give them my best. I think I do it for me as much as for them, because I hate people that are ambivalent. I hate, yeah, it is what it is, whatever. That's not me. And I always want to make an impression. I want to make friends, and I want to have fun. The reason my training is so different is, while I try to push them in the right direction, I tailor it to his in the room.
Sure.
I gave your guys nicknames. They're still calling each other.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, so real quick. So your book, Inner Demon Morons.
Inner Moron Demons.
I'm sorry, Inner Moron Demons, right? What is a big takeaway somebody should take away from reading this book?
An attitude of gratitude.
Excellent.
And realizing that not to let, it's the oldest analogy in the world. If you see a boat or a yacht on the water and it's doing fine, it's because the water is outside. If the water gets in the boat, that's when they sink. We've got negativity all around us. If we keep it on the outside, we're rocking. But if we let it get inside our heads, we're done. Negativity. My thing is, if you can't elevate somebody, walk away from them before they drag you
Fair
down.
enough.
I cannot tell you how many times people would come up to me and say, man, it's really slow, isn't it, Larry? And I'd say, I'm a little too busy to talk about how slow it is. I'm selling a couple cars.
Right.
Come back later.
I've been there. I know. Many years ago, same thing. It was 2008, I think it was, and I was selling real estate, and my whole office was like, how do you have all these deals? I'm like, because I keep going. I keep looking for deals. I keep making money. I'm not sitting around
Larry,
moping.
I try to convince people that we're all the same. Don't matter if you're black, you're white, your religion, your nationality. We have such a commonality of experiences that we're much more alike than we are dissimilar. And everybody on earth has looked at their watch or their iPhone once in a while and went, man, time to go home. The day flew by.
Yeah,
but what
sure.
most people do all day long on their watch or iPhone is look at it and go, oh, man, it's so slow. They're letting themselves get bored.
Absolutely true.
There's always something to do. There's always something to learn.
Absolutely true.
But it's got to be from the inside out.
Yeah.
I don't care who's this is really going to sound cocky, and I apologize. I'll put myself up against any motivational speaker on the planet Earth, because I can keep people in a room 3.5 hours. I got to chase them out to go to lunch.
Oh, I could agree with that. I mean, so you remember the difference between you and every other motivational speaker is just that they're in front of a bigger audience. It's the same thing with me. I teach it all the time.
Give it time.
So when
because I blew up Canada, I think within 6 months to a year,
I'm looking forward to that.
people are going to see me everywhere and know everywhere. And the reason is, when I train people, when I work with them, when I help them, they like me. This is a great story. I got entrusted with a job to populate a brand new dealership, get everybody, and they wanted me to start with getting a general manager. Well, they called me back and said, Larry, it's your baby, but we got a general manager that was referred to us. But I had already interviewed over the phone and talked to 3 or 4 guys. And instead of ignoring them, which is what a lot of headhunters do if they can't find you a spot, I stayed in touch with them. I was polite. All 3 of these guys landed somewhere else. They used me. I said, man, you were the only guy we ever dealt with that was considerate and cared.
That's fantastic. Great.
Well, listen, virtue is its own reward, and it has to be, because they've stopped giving out trophies for
Right. So
it.
basically, you didn't find them a job, but they're using you to find them people.
Right.
That's brilliant. That's exactly right.
Listen,
That's
none of this stuff is really brilliant. It's I got
It's
rich because I didn't want to be
sense.
bored.
Right. It's common sense.
Yeah, I'd rather be busy.
I agree. Right. Sure.
Larry and I have been friends forever. He's crazy. I'm crazier. Okay. So he said to me, how about doing an interview? So instead of saying, okay, I'll get back to you in 11 years, I pestered him, because it's a great opportunity. He's as nuts as I am. We both have energy. We're both successful in our field. And we realize there's always a chance to cross-marry. I tortured you.
There you go.
Then
Absolutely.
it was, well, I'll tape it. You're not taping it. Do it live.
Yeah, so we usually do this. So for you guys who become a guest on our show, we usually tape it early. So when we have a problem, like the couple of problems we've had so far, we can edit them out. But that's okay. So Larry said,
whoa. Slow.
Yeah.
Another thing, you said I went off the rails. That you were 100% correct. I always push my training off the rails, because real life goes like this. It doesn't go like this,
Sure.
and yet this is how people teach it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No, that's
you.
okay. That's you. You. It's hard to keep on the same track with you.
It's bad ADD. By the way, that's a lovely jacket. I'm so glad this transmission is in color.
Me too. Because if it wasn't in color, I don't know what to say. This is.
It's no problem.
It's a tough.
It's no problem. If you get uncomfortable, we can switch seats. I can put on the wizard jacket. We can roll with this. Keep going, my buddy.
Next time I'll give you a jacket to wear if you want to.
I am the jacketless Larry Feldman.
There you go. All right. So real quick. So how can people? Number one, how can people get a hold of you?
Okay. First of all, I'm the only person on the planet that still answers your cell phone. Let me give it to you.
All right. There you go. Beautiful.
It's 215-407-5174. 215-407-5174. You can reach me by email. It's Larry, that's my name, Larry, at careerchangersusa.com.
Careerchangersusa.com. Beautiful. Okay. And then they could also go to careerchangersusa.com to take a look at what you do.
Absolutely.
Now, if someone is looking for a job as a car salesman,
Job at anything, because I'm starting to spread everywhere.
You can do, okay, you can do other things. Okay, that's great. So what is, have you placed other people other places?
Sure.
Awesome.
I've just got done. I got Mrs. G's at two terrific people.
That's great.
I'm working with a couple companies where unfortunately they don't want me to use their name because they don't. The people
enough,
that I'm
sure.
working with
Yeah.
don't know they're geting replaced.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
But
I've seen
the
that
whole,
before. Sure.
You know, again, the malaise in this country, there's many problems, but one of them is we've been disincentivized to work. Reagan had it right. The best social program is a job.
Yeah,
because you
absolutely.
feel like you have purpose and you have worth.
Yeah.
But when you have a lot of people that got a lot of checks for a long period of time, and a government that's out of control and thinks the answer to solving inflation is printing more money, you wind up with people that don't want to work. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is there is plenty of people that want to work, and there's plenty of people that want to build a career.
So it was funny you say that, because it used to be years ago when everyone was out of work, they used to say 4 out of 5 people can't find a job. And my answer was, okay, so be the 5th one. Now it's the opposite. Now it's now you're being the employer. You know, you're interviewing 4 out of 5 people who don't want to work, and your answer is, hey, I'm just going to hire the one who does want to work.
Listen, penicillin was derived from moldy bread. Who would have expected that? Prior to that, you got an infection, you lost your leg, or you died. I'm a musician. My favorite band is the Rolling Stones, but like everybody whose brain works, I know the greatest band of all time is the Beatles, because they did more good music in 7 years than Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones and the Who have in 50
Sure.
or 60 at this point with the Rolling Stones. The Beatles got turned down by everybody. The story of how they got in, we don't have time to go, it's crazy. They told Elvis Presley to go back to driving a truck. Here's a handsome white guy that sounds like a black man in a
Right.
country that's desegregating.
Sure.
And everybody knows Michael Jordan got back down to the JV team. There had to be something there.
Absolutely. I mean,
No,
yeah.
all no should be
Yeah.
is should to spur you on. See, let me tell you something. I also teach people to not look at things as obstacles or barriers. Look at them as challenges, because we're all wired the same, and nothing's cooler than when you tell somebody they can't do it and then they do it.
Exactly. I do that all the time. Everything that I'm doing right now is because someone told me I couldn't do it. Including
Great
interviewing
motivation.
you. I was told 3 people I couldn't interview me.
Here it is, and here it is.
There you go. All right. So once again, how can I get a hold of you?
It's 215-407-5174. 215-407-5174. I work with people personally. That's been a cool thing the last few months. I train anybody or anything to be more motivated. If anybody needs salespeople, service people, anything. Or heck, just call me if you want to talk. Life's short. I like to make friends.
He likes to make friends. That's very cool. All right. Thank you, Larry. I totally appreciate you. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody.
Hey, it was a pleasure speaking with Larry. I hope you all had a pen so you could write down my phone number.
All right. I also want to thank you all for watching the show. Of course, my name is Larry Steinhouse, and I am the host of Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now, if you guys don't know, it's live every morning at 7:30 a.m. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you'd like to be a guest on this show for an interview, you can go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. Let us know why you want to be interviewed, and that's it. And we hope you enjoyed today's interview with Larry Feldman. And, of course, we hope you'll tune in again and make it a profitable day. Take care, everybody.